Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts and ideas to help grow healthy, happy, successful families that are both inside
and outside the box. If you like the show, be sure to follow Christina on Facebook.
And please leave us a like review on your favorite podcast platform.
Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Daniela Dohnert. Daniela is a visual artist, life coach, and mother from Venezuela with a deep passion for empowering teenagers. Through her education, she discovered the transformative power of perspective in communication and self-esteem. Having experienced firsthand the benefits of these perspective shifts in her own relationships with her teenage children, she is dedicated to helping families foster stronger, more meaningful connections. Welcome, Daniela. It is a pleasure to have you here. It is so important today for parents to learn how to communicate and have connections with their children. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Excellent. Yeah. And, we've had lots of different experts on our channel. Bringing Education Home is all about bringing in new perspectives, new ideas. So what you're going to talk about today is perfect. Can you jump in and start out with why? What is your passion? How did you land on this as the thing that you need to talk about with people on podcasts and other things?
Okay, so I can tell you that one of the reasons is that I see that the teenage years are years that are very vulnerable for the kids because they're going through so many hormonal changes. There's so many things going on. And sometimes as parents, we're not completely present. We are doing our own stuff and then we get home, we're tired, we react. And the way, if we don't really listen to the children, for some children, what happens is that then they go on and they take on some behavior that is not beneficial for them or for others. And I've experienced, like I've seen it in the news a lot. And in my view, most of those kids, if somebody, even if it wasn't their parent, but if somebody had heard what they were saying and gave them some perspective on the fact that you're feeling this now, and in 2 years, you won't remember that you were feeling this, just, process it, let it out, then a lot of lives would be saved. So my real mission is to save at least, if I save even one life, I'm happy. That's why I think it's important, is because those are years where, children want attention at that time. Well, we all want attention at any point in time. Otherwise, that's part of the human needs to feel important and to feel that you're recognized. And when the hormones are just at its peak, you never know how things might shift in a direction that is not beneficial.
Yeah. So you said, saving at least, any life, one life, right? Is that part of your story? Have you had an experience where you've lost someone, or is it just something that's so dear to your heart that you really want to make sure that it's out there?
Look, it seems unrelated, but I have had experiences with several people, but it has been more in terms of suicide, that have committed suicide, and they have not been teenagers. So some of them are already parents, and they do this. Of course, their kids, there's an impact on the children long term, especially on the way of dealing when things get very stressful. Yeah. And then some kids that have lost their lives very, very young for different reasons that are close to me as well. So that's part of the reason. Now that I know of, a teenager that has taken their life, I know somebody in the community, but I didn't know him directly. And he thought it was a kind of game, and he ended up losing his life. So it is things like that, like those things, and other in communities close by that I heard on the news, just some ideas. And it's all a matter of perspective, that some guy is going out with your ex-girlfriend and you start thinking, why is he going out with her? There's something wrong. And then from there, it's like a snowball effect. Things get blown off. The reality is no longer real. And what happens in the end is a lot of people suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this, unfortunately, we've had those rates skyrocket in the last few years. And so, like
Yes.
you said, just changing that perspective and really looking at things. I liken it to whenever I'm talking with the younger students, because after being a teacher and working with all the young ones for so long, is that if we model what we're thinking and we model kind of how we're addressing things, then those younger students get to understand, oh, well, she's thinking about this, and so that's why she did that activity or that, you know, decision around that certain situation.
Yes.
So like in the classroom, I was always like, you know, when we line up and we line up in this certain way, it's because when we go in the hallway, we want to be respectful of other people and their space and the noise and everything, so everybody can learn those kinds of things. So that thinking out loud. And I'm wondering if that's kind of what you do when you say you're helping people kind of shift their perspectives.
It's in a way, it's what I do mostly is that I have them take a look at a situation that they're not okay with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have them stand in as if they were a bird looking at the situation, and then describe the situation from the point of view of the bird. The bird only sees the facts. Like there's an accident, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two cars crash. There's somebody going by here. The person going by here sees something. One driver sees another thing, and the other driver sees another thing. But a bird from above only sees one object, another object. They go against each other.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is story. And the way that we decide to tell the story to ourselves is what impacts our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the action, then there's a story that comes from it, and then there's the emotion. So if you can change your emotion, you can choose how you feel. Like you can choose to get really upset because you lose one fingernail that was not you know, those stick-on fingernails. You can choose to be really upset and cry all day because of that, or you can choose to say, well, I'll put on another one. And it's from the same act, two different perspectives. The outcome is completely different for you and for everybody around you, because if you decide to be miserable, you're going to make everybody else miserable. It's you know, we as humans tend to want to share our feelings with others, and sometimes that means having them feel the same way we're feeling. And it's not necessarily healthy, but we do it. You know, it's just instinct. So, well, what to do there? So that's how I see it. And in terms of the communication between parents and children, it's more about teaching parents how to listen, leaving outside the fact that they're the parent, just listening as if they were listening to their sister or brother, and not wanting to fix things all the time, unless they're being asked for their opinion. If you're not being asked for your opinion, do not give your opinion. Otherwise, you not only will they do exactly the opposite of what you say should be done, because that's, in those years, we want to show that we're independent and we can make up our mind. So if your opinion is not asked, it's better just to not give it. But then you will know what's going on because they're telling you. So you can be prepared for anything. Yeah.
So I follow a gentleman named Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson talks about how people need to talk because talking helps clarify your thinking.
Yes.
And so a lot of children nowadays are in their classroom, they're told to sit still and be quiet. And at home, it's like, oh, dad got home, and now you need to be quiet. And so they're never given this opportunity to speak and to think, and then to actually have their thoughts out there. So what you're talking about is so very important. And it's like, you don't listen to your children all of the time to fix their problems. You listen to them so that they can figure out what their problems are and try and work through them, some of that on their own as well. So it's not just, so listening is so important because your children need to talk so that they can think, so that they can get their thoughts out there and see how they play in the universe as well.
Yeah, well, it's exactly like if you think about when you go to any shop that you're looking for something, and the shop attendant asks you, what do you want? While you're explaining it, you yourself become clear of what it is I want, and do I really need it, you know, or will I settle for something different? But if then nobody asks you, you might just look at things and say, no, none of this was it, because nobody had a conversation with you. So conversations are extremely important. And especially, it's not only that kids are told not to talk, there's also the social media aspect that affects it to a certain degree. They're getting more used to texting than to talking, some of them. And it also varies. I've noticed some boys tend to be a little bit more quiet. That doesn't mean they can't talk. And I'm saying this generally. It's evidently not every boy is the same. But it's if you don't ask them, they will not share.
Mhm.
So it's especially important not to assume, oh, he's just a teen, it's a teen thing, he'll go over it. But have a conversation, any little thing, and ask your kids every day, how was your day? How are you feeling? If they don't want to share anything, if they say, oh, it's fine, and we're okay, but eventually one day they'll share something, and at least they know that you're there asking. If you don't ask, it's the same as saying, I don't care. Don't tell me, because really, I don't have time for you. So
Yeah, it's one of those things that, if you're asking, if you're showing interest, right, then that's when they will definitely open up. And hopefully this has been a process from when they were little, right? We want to bring it down below the teenage years so that it's already established when we get to the teenage years. But if it's not established at that point, what do? How do you start establishing that communication so that they will open up to you and they will respond when you ask those questions?
Well, the first thing to do, if you are already, some parents have a relationship with their young people, even from when they're young, that is very imposing. Like when the child says certain things, there's a scream that goes back, and then there's a scream coming the other way. So it's very much on it's not really aggressive, because it's not necessarily that they're aggressive words, but it's like hard.
Yes.
And the first thing is to lower your tone, start lowering your tone, and start realizing what it is that is having you react as a parent.
Yeah.
And look at that, because if you don't take care of yourself, of your own things that are inside of you, you're just gonna put them on the child, and that's all they're gonna learn. And so if you get triggered, they get triggered in return, and it's just two bulls going against each other, and nobody gets out alive, basically.
Right.
But if you start just saying, okay, I'm getting triggered, let me take a breath. Take a breath, okay, and let me stop. And maybe I tell them, okay, wait a second, give me a second. And now, okay, what were you telling me? And make it a point to listen. Don't speak. Even if you start with 3 minutes a day, 3 minutes is better than nothing. So you start with that until you get more used to it. You get more comfortable to listening without speaking. And then eventually the relationship will change. It doesn't change unless somebody changes it. And you cannot expect your son or daughter to change it, because it's not their responsibility at that time. They're dealing with a whole bunch of other things that you've already dealt with. Yeah.
I like how you explain that, because some families just get in the habit of, they're not yelling at each other, but they're like talking to each other from the other room, right? Or they aren't close enough to actually get, see the person as they're talking. So there's that loud voice, and that just kind of continues to escalate. And, I've been guilty of it. And Herb would point out, I was like, the boys are in the other room. Why don't you go in there and ask them the question instead of shouting it from the other room? Or, hey, why don't you actually go in and listen to what they're kind of saying? And then just to tell on myself, I've had a few hearing issues, and it's been so important once I realized that, it's like, I'm not hearing everything they're saying. So I need to be closer. So I really understand what they're saying. Oh, don't go there. But yeah, if you notice that it's always a high level conversation, get closer, bring it down, just like you were saying.
Exactly. Bring the tone down. Start by bringing the tone down, and start by maybe practicing. It's important to eat at least one meal, even if it's once a week, with the whole family, because that's a time, meals are a time when everybody's putting food in their mouth. Yes, but that means also there is some quiet. So one person can speak, and then the other person speaks. And make it a point to model also not speaking while they are speaking. If you see that they're taking very long, like because when you're not used to being asked what you think, and you start explaining, you take a really long time to explain even one little thing, because you need to get used to it. So while you're getting used to it, while you're getting used to it, maybe when the person goes over like the first 5 minutes of what they were saying, you can say, oh, and you kind of summarize it in a sentence. So this is what, and they say yes. And so then they will carry on to the next part. Also, so that they know that you're listening, that you're not just there putting food in your mouth and blocking everybody out. Like some people sorry, I just got an image. This is something my father would concentrate a lot when he ate. So he would be basically looking down and everybody around him was almost non-existent. So you had to wait until he would lift his head, and then you could have a conversation.
Now a few words about vibrant family education.
How many entrepreneurs and business owners start out on this journey to make a better life for their family, only to find that it took so much more time and effort than they were expecting that they had even less time for their family? I know I did.
At Vibrant Family Education, we want to help you reach your family goals while you're still building towards your business goals. We do this by bringing you the third leg of the stool to keep your family upright, family education development.
By bringing your children's education home, you will be able to model your work ethic and family values as you overcome obstacles and challenges to build your business. Instead of learning facts to pass tests, your children can be watching and seeing the dedication it takes to build your business and the legacy you want to create for their future. They will be able to witness the struggles and joys, the wins and the losses, and learn from you how to persevere and grow in life.
Instead of waiting until you get successful to spend more time with your family, start with the end goal in mind and bring your family home. Instead of trying to repair your family after you reach success, let us help you start achieving your family goals from the outset. Learn to be successful with your family now, and no matter what happens in the future, they will be better prepared for life, especially after watching how you cared for and built not only a business, but a healthy, happy, and successful family.
We offer a wide range of educational services, including how to easily get started with homeschooling. Come visit us at vibrantfamilyeducation.com and let us show you how. And now, back to our guest.
That totally makes sense.
So, in this day and age, a lot of these words that you're using are becoming more well known, but there's a lot of people out there who don't necessarily know what it means to be triggered or what it means to do the work on themselves first. And so I'll help clarify that a little bit here too, but being triggered is if somebody says something and you get mad, it's not their fault that you got mad. There's something going on in your life that those words triggered, that's where the word caused you to be uncomfortable, but it's not the person who said it's fault. There's something in your past, there's a hidden trauma in your life that when this situation comes up, your body reacts in a certain way. And so if your children trigger you, it's like if you're going along and your kid says something and suddenly you're angry, then it's not always necessarily what the child has done. There's something going on within you, and you need to figure out why that is in yourself so that you cannot get angry at that, because that's not doing anybody any good. So it's like, oh, when my son talks back, I get really angry and now I want to yell at my kid. And these aren't necessarily healthy interactions. So if you're working with somebody who doesn't understand what being triggered is, has never done any of this work, how do you start with that person to bring that mindfulness into their life? Because there's another word that most people don't understand, is that mindfulness. How do you get them to start understanding that? Because that is such an important little part of all of this.
So what I usually use is I ask them what happened, like what was said or what did they smell, because sometimes it can also be by a smell or a tone of voice before they had that emotion. So is it that a word that a person said to them? Is it a sound that they heard? Is it that they were just coming home from somewhere in particular when they had a strong reaction to what was happening? So that's the way I explain triggered. It's like something happens that makes you have a reaction. That's And whatever happens is because it's reminding you, like you said, it's reminding you of something in your past. Maybe something from when you were young, or maybe something even from earlier that day. Maybe you had a discussion with your boss and you got upset by it and you never let it out. And now when you get home and you hear something similar or a similar tone of voice, you associate it unconsciously with your boss and you say, you know, and you react as if it was your boss, and you don't realize it's not actually your boss in front of you. It's a younger person. That is one thing in terms of triggered. Now, in terms of mindfulness, I think, is just being in the moment. That's what the gist of mindfulness is. If you're able to be in the moment, and that doesn't mean like I'm here with you, but if I'm here talking to you, thinking about something else, then my body is here, but I'm not here. My mind is somewhere else. So have your mind and your body in the same place, and your full mind. That is something that is extremely challenging, because you know, often we're here sitting and then we're talking to someone, and while we're talking to them, we're thinking, oh, you know, I need to make sure that I pick this person up in 5 minutes, and that I need to get this conversation right. So all that thinking is actually taking you away from the conversation that you're having with the person, because your mind is already getting prepared for the next 5 minutes. And that is time, that is precious time, because none of us know when something might happen that maybe you won't get it to the next 5 minutes. So you might as well enjoy the 5 minutes you have right now in front of this person. At least that's how I see it. That's how I've seen it, more just from news I've heard recently from friends.
And if you think you get good at that, go sit with a 5-year-old and try and be present and do that with a 5-year-old. And within 5 or 10 minutes, you will be absolutely exhausted and realize you have to do a lot more work. So in a way, sometimes that's actually how you check out, is because it sometimes is really difficult to be fully present with a young person, because the amount of novelty and the amount of brain power that you have to use is super exhausting with a young child. So and that kind of then starts maybe building a learning process, and of not listening to your kids because you can't handle that yourself. So again, you got to play with that, because it is so important for your children to know that you hear them as well. So it's important that they talk, but it's also important that you hear them.
And another important thing, at least I find it important, is there's some people that they don't want to let their kids know that they sometimes get upset, like get sad, or that they get angry sometimes, and they hide it from the children. And I don't think that's healthy, to be honest, because the way that younger people learn to express their emotions is when they see their parents. Because at school, you know, when another kid is crying at school, what happens? It's not really a healthy reaction of everybody around them. Either the teachers are like, oh, honey, what's going on? So it's like, oh, there's something wrong, or the other kids are making fun of him. So it's not a healthy reaction to being able to cry. So showing someone that it's okay to cry, it means nothing. Crying really is just water coming out of your face. And if you feel like crying, there's no reason why you shouldn't cry. It's actually healthier to cry, or if you get angry, there's no reason why you shouldn't go to your room and just scream at the pillow and bang the pillow a couple of times until you release that anger, and then you come out and that's it. The pillow has the anger. I let it all out. I let it go. But at least as long as it's an inanimate object, don't let it up on something that's living. Don't let it up.
Yeah, that's one of the things we talk about with parents as well, is like, you know, your kids are learning so much more than what you're speaking at them. They're watching your emotions, they're watching your actions. You are their role model. And so the way you deal with things is oftentimes how they will deal with things when they get older, or when they're, you know, stressed, kind of thing. So that's why it's super important to have strong relationships, and to make sure that you are asking those questions. How are you doing? Or what happened today?
Yes.
all those kinds of things. And that's what actually one of the things I wanted to kind of skirt back around,
Yeah.
because so many people use that question kind of as a throwaway. How was your day? What happened today? And then you don't really get a response, right?
Yes.
So how do we get to those teenagers who've heard this for a long time? Is that that's a question I hear all the time. I don't really want to engage with that question.
So that's the point where you ask not only how did the day go, but what did you do?
There you go.
Right? Try switching up the question every now and then. Don't ask the same question every day. So what did you do? Or which teacher did you have if they were going to school? Or how was your boss? How was your coworker? Ask about somebody else. That will let them know that you're actually interested in what's going on. And then pay attention when they answer so that you know what is going on. And the next day you can ask a relevant question. That's a way it kind of starts building. It's the same thing when you make a new friend. When you make a new friend, first you meet them, you find out what they do. And then the next time you see them, you ask them about what they shared with you the last time, and then how things are going. And then the friendship starts growing from there. So it's as if you were making a new friend with your child, starting from the beginning. It's it's not that you're crazy, it's just you're pretending you don't know the person in front of you. It's as if you put yourself in an actor's shoes. So you're an actor and you're acting as a parent you want to be, and you're listening to the child, and slowly you will become that parent just from acting every day that you are that parent. You will slowly become the actor.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I like to say also, it just went out of my head. I don't know what I was going to say. It just popped out of my head, and that happens sometimes too.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it was. So, our children do speak a different language lots of times. They either have a gaming language or a dance language or a sports language. They speak things that we don't necessarily understand because we haven't done it, right? But whenever they start coming to you with those things about, oh yeah, in this game, this was happening, it's so hard to engage because you don't understand what they're talking about. But ask those clarifying questions. Tell me more about that. I don't quite understand that. Explain a little bit more, right? And really show that interest in what they're talking about.
Yeah, ask them what the different words mean and the acronyms. Like, I can tell you, I have no idea what none of them. So whenever they're telling me something, I ask them, okay, so what was it that this meant? Okay, and who was it that said that? Okay, and then I ask as many times as I need to understand what it is that is actually going on. The other thing I wanted to mention that was regarding parents, that whenever you have like a reaction and you make a mistake and you realize later, well, I shouldn't have had that reaction. It's very important also to clarify to the young person that you reacted in a way that was not the best, and just say, I'm sorry. Saying I'm sorry goes a long way, even for things that we did years back. It's not, don't just assume, oh, they won't remember it, let's just brush it under the rug and forget about it. It's because things stay there, and they, even when you brush something under the rug and you look at it again, it's grown a whole bunch of things around it. So, and you don't want that. It's not nice.
That reminds me, because I did a summit talk once, and I talked about how, sometimes children pick up on the children's emotions, or they really see more than you letting them know about, right? And you're hiding it from them because you don't want them to be hurt or whatever. And one of the parents at the end said, even though my children are grown, I'm going to go back and check in with them about when their father and I got divorced. And how I handled it. And if there's anything there that they need clarification on, because you're right, they acted a little bit different after things started happening. And I just brushed it on the rug because I didn't want them to know about certain things, but I want to go back and check in with them. And that parent actually reported back later, and they're like, the kids were really glad, even though they were adults, that I came back and checked in with them, because then they were able to ask a question that they didn't quite have clarity to, or they were able to tell me, no, I love the way you handled it. We understood what was going on.
Yes. That's a very important point that you're bringing, not only for how they react, but also when people believe some parents don't get along at all, and it's like it's a little hell in the household when they're together, but they stay together for the sake of the kids. And actually, that's not necessarily healthy. They are not necessarily doing a favor to the kids, because you're having them come home every day to an environment that is not nice. It would be a lot nicer if you were honest and say, you know, we're not getting along.
Yeah.
And it's hard, because it's not, it's like anything. You might say, logically, you say it, it sounds very easy. And then when you're the one in those shoes, you think, oh, is this really right? Is this correct? So it's hard. So also give yourself some grace when you make mistakes, you know, go back and be kind to yourself. As we always, as parents, we need to be very kind to ourselves as well. It's another thing we need to emulate for the children.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So as you're working with parents, or actually it's about time to share, how do parents get a hold of you? If what's something Daniela has said today that really sparked an interest, like, oh, you know what, I bet she could help me with this. How do they get a hold of you? How do they start working with you?
Okay, so a parent can get a hold of me through my email is the best way, to be honest, which is danieladcoaching@gmail.com. It's the easiest way, because I would say my phone number, but to be honest, I have this thing on my phone that if it's a number that it's not recognized, it just doesn't ring. I never find out. So there's no point in giving my phone number to anyone. I only have my contacts there. But when somebody reaches me through email, then I can, you know, it's easier to then set up a conversation with them. And from there, things can flow. And I can see if really I am the person that can help them with whatever is going on or not, because I know that I'm not the right person for everybody, for certain people. And I do have a way of going through of guiding people that tends to be a little bit more creative.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I pull together things from many places, probably because I'm a visual artist. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that involves also doing some art for them to find out what is going on really inside. There are things that you don't know are there until you start writing and it comes out, or until you start drawing something, not wanting to do it. Like I tell you, oh, you know, why don't we do a stick drawing of this and that? And then when we're having the conversation about your stick drawing, that's when suddenly, oh, you know, this is why I did this stick drawing like this. That's when things come out. So art is actually a wonderful way to help people open up when they don't want to open up to themselves.
I love that.
They're willing to open up to others and not to themselves.
Oh, I love that you bring in the arts, because, you know, there are different learning styles. There are different connection styles. And so, you know, maybe you are one of those people who, you know, connect through words or songs or music or art. And this might be a great connection for you to work with, Daniela. Yeah. And of course, everything will be down in the show notes that you will be able to contact her there.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there something that we haven't covered today that you really wanted to talk about?
Let me think. Not that comes to my mind right now. So if anything comes up, you know what? I'll just put it in the comments to the podcast. That's it.
Beautiful. Yeah, exactly. And you know, this podcast, Bringing Education Home, is all over the place. It is on YouTube at vibrantfamilyeducation.com. It's on Apple, Spotify, all those different places. So absolutely use the podcast to connect with these beautiful experts that come and join us and help us every week. Give tips and tricks to the families to keep growing and engaging and becoming stronger. All right, Daniela, this has been a wonderful conversation. Your last words, kind of wrap it up. What do you want to leave parents with as we're getting ready to end the show today?
So what I want to leave all of you with is that you can become the parent that you want, that has that wonderful relationship with your children, that the children, when they get older and have their own families, will call you back and ask you, you know, how did you do this? How did you do that? Regardless of who you are right now, you can become that person if that is who you want to be. But you have to be honest with yourself if that is really what you want. Don't pretend to want something you don't. And if that's what you want and you start today, it's completely feasible. In less than a year, you can be there. You can have, like, you know, giving up all those behaviors that were not suiting you and taking on new ones. And just, it's a matter of practice. It doesn't happen from one day to the other. It's a matter of practice. Well, to be honest, I'm not a hypnotherapist, so I don't know. Maybe hypnotherapists are able to do it, but I'm not. So, yeah.
Yep. And, don't wait until it's too late. Our youngest son doesn't talk to us anymore, and it's been quite a few years, and he's out of the house now. And so trying to establish communication when they're already gone makes it even harder. So, if you like your children, if you want them in your life for long term, and you're not communicating well, get some help, get started sooner than later. Thank you, Daniela, for being here today. This topic is so very, very important. Communication is a key to stronger families. And we don't have a lot of people out there helping with that right now. So there's so many people that it's like, oh, you have a kid, you know what to do. And it's like, there's no parenting manual out there that really gives us what to do. And so we're all kind of out there on our own. And you're out there trying to help other people, and that makes you a hero. So thank you very much for coming on our show today. Thank you for helping families. Thank you for helping create stronger families. That's kind of what our nation needs, and that's what people need. So thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for being on our show today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. And wonderful. I enjoyed the conversation. So
awesome. Yeah, we do too. We love having this conversation and bringing things out from people and sharing with families. So thank you so very much. All right, audience, as we're wrapping up today, you know what to do. It is time to hit the like button, give some stars, reviews, share this with somebody else who needs it. You probably heard something today that really would impact and help change a family for the better. Please give that gift of sharing of this information. Until next time, we hope that you enjoyed the show and that you come back for more each and every week. We'll talk to you later. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Hello, and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts